We are going to open the package up with this fancy, amazing blade right here. So let's open it up. Let's get started. Slice it through that like butter. All right, so this is described as the Rocket RGB USB-C 20 gigabytes per second USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 M.2 SATA / NVMe SSD enclosure. That's a mouthful. This is what we have right here. You take your NVMe drive, M.2 drive, put it in there, and you can attach it to your computer via USB-C. It also has RGB lights on it, which is very, very cool. Up to 20 gigabytes per second is what this drive is capable of, according to, the information on the front of the drive. I'm actually using an SSD drive enclosure right now on the camera. I'm recording directly to an SSD on my camera, and it is from the same company. This company right here, Sabrent, is the same company, but not the same drive. This is a different drive. This is an updated version. The one that I have is pretty old. I'll post a picture up on the screen somewhere. We have what I hope is a USB-C to USB-C high-speed cable. Now, all USB-C cables are created equally. Being that this is a drive capable of higher transfer speeds, I will hope that this is a high transfer speed USB-C cable. Included is a little screwdriver that we will use to open our enclosure up and install our SSD drive into the enclosure. We have ourselves a user manual as well. And last but not least, we have the SSD drive enclosure right here, which is pretty nice. And the enclosure is made of aluminum. The body is aluminum. And we have some LED light strips on the front that resemble the Sabrent logo. USB-C port right there on the side. The bottom of the drive has some rubber feet so that you can put it on the table like so, or your desk, and it won't necessarily go sliding around on you. Because the SSD enclosure that I currently have, the older one, it doesn't have the rubber feet, and the drive does tend to slide all over the place. But if you're using this drive on your desk, this is fantastic. So let's open it up and install our SSD. We have the SSD 2 terabyte NVMe drive right here. That's what we got inside the packaging. So let's open that up, and we're going to test the transfer speeds. Got it. See what we have. Okay. We have some type of a thermal gel on the back so that it can transfer the heat from the SSD drive, which is this, because these things do produce some heat. And this thermal pad will allow that heat to transfer to the case, that's this case here, and that will allow the heat to dissipate while you're using the drive. Because these things do produce heat. I can tell you from experience that they produce a good amount of heat. And most of these drives have heat sinks built in, but being that this drive is made of aluminum, and aluminum is a fantastic material for dissipating heat. So that is great. So let's put the drive in. Right there we have a little slit. See that slit? We also have a little slit there. So let me just show you how to install it. We need to move this. This is our locking tab. So we need to move that out of the way like that, I think. Or is it the other way? No, it's this way. I think it goes like that. I think it needs to be in that orientation. So we're going to slide it in like that. You see how that lines up with that slot? Push it in. It sticks up. That's normal. And we're going to slide it down. We need to move this. We are going to need to move this over just a little bit more. Oh, too much right there. So you want to have it in that orientation when you put it together. And then you're going to turn that. There we go. All right. So we are locked in place. Our drive is locked in. It's not going to go anywhere. So any direction you want to turn that little lever, it doesn't matter. Either direction you turn it is going to lock your drive in place. And that's what we have. Now we're going to put it back together. Now, if you notice, there is a glossy finish on the top of this. This thermal transfer material has a shiny coating on top. Now, we need to remove that. That's a film that we actually need to take off so that the heat can actually transfer. You're going to grab something sharp, pick the edge of it up like that. You see that? There's a protective film on there. Try not to damage the thermal transfer material. Oops. I messed up. Let's try that again. There we go. We're going to get that off and out of the way. Now we will assemble our case, our enclosure. Make sure that that paste is going to sit on top of the SSD drive like that. And make sure that the screw holes line up as well. I'm not sure if this can go on in more than one orientation, but just make sure that your screw holes are lined up. And you'll know that you have good contact with the SSD drive because this will probably stay in place. You see that? That paste or that material, that transfer, the thermal transfer material that's in there, it should be kind of sticky because it does need to dissipate the heat, and it needs to be able to kind of spread out over the SSD in order to be able to transfer the heat that the SSD produces. And you'll know you have good contact when you can't take that off easily. You can still take it off. Mind you, you'll have to put a little bit of effort into it. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of effort in pulling this off if you wanted to swap out your drive. And I believe that that is reusable. We have our SSD installed. We have our USB-C port, and we are going to put this to the test using the provided USB-C cable to make sure that the cable is a good cable and we don't need to upgrade to a different cable. And we're going to transfer a large video file from one SSD drive, this SSD drive, or we're going to transfer from an SSD drive on my computer to this SSD drive and see what the transfer speeds are like using a cable that I know to be a good cable. And we're going to also use a cable that's provided with the drive, the Sabrent cable. So let's go ahead and get started with that process. So over here on the right, we have our new drive, the Sabrent M.2 NVMe drive. I've named it SSD3. And over here on the left, we have a drive where I have some video files. This is also an SSD. I've named it SSD2. So we're going to transfer this file right here, which is 18.6 gigabytes in size. I'm going to transfer it over to SSD3 and see what kind of transfer speeds we get. Where's our pop-up? Our pop-up moved to the wrong area. So where's the details? It's moving pretty quick. There we go. We're getting consistently 536 megabytes per second transfer speeds. Now that is using the supplied USB-C to USB-C cable. After we've done this transfer, I'm going to go ahead and delete that file from the SSD3, and then we're going to transfer it again, and then we're going to transfer it again using another USB-C cable that I know to be pretty fast, which might give us a little bit faster speeds. I don't know. But that didn't take very long at all. We transferred an 18 gigabyte video file in pretty much, I don't know, probably what was that, 30 seconds? So let's try this again, and we'll use a different USB-C drive or a different USB-C cable. Let's try it again. We're going to delete that file. All right, so we are back. We have switched the cable. I will leave a link down below in the description to the cable that we are using. But basically, it's the cable that you see right here on the screen from this company. That's a screenshot right there. I'm going to put it right there on the screen right now. We're using that SSD. No, I'm sorry, we're using that USB-C to USB-C cable. It is a longer cable, but it's rated for high speeds, and I know it does high transfer speeds. So let's see what we can get out of this cable, if the cable makes a difference, or if the cable that we were provided by Sabrent is a good enough cable. The cable that was provided by Sabrent, keep in mind, is a pretty short cable. So if you need something with some length, the cable that's down in the description will serve your needs. All right, and we are getting pretty much the same speeds that we got with the cable that was provided with the Sabrent cable. So that tells me that we are not limited by the cable that is supplied with the SSD enclosure. I hope this review was helpful. I hope it helped you make a decision about purchasing this enclosure from Sabrent, this SSD M.2 NVMe enclosure from Sabrent. I'll catch you guys on the next review. Peace.